Οι ερωτήσεις που θα ακούσεις ακόμη και από τον πρώην πρόεδρο του Ισραήλ είναι αυτές που πρέπει να απαντήσεις εσύ που έχεις σταχθεί μαζί με το Μητσοτάκη, μαζί με την κυβέρνησή σου, στην σωστή πλευρά της ιστορίας. Και εδώ πλέον δεν χρειάζεται καμία αμφισβήτηση. Όταν σου τα λένε αυτοί που είναι μέσα στα πράγματα και εσύ επιμένεις να είσαι με τη σωστή πλευρά της ιστορίας, τότε λυπάμαι.
Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has refused to sign. Iran submits to inspection by the International Nuclear Energy Agency. Israel refuses to submit. Iran has no nuclear weapons. Israel has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. So Israel poses an existential threat to Iran. For the last 40 years, Israel has conducted a systematic campaign of disinformation about Iran. Why the lies? Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy?
We were hearing this week that Iran is just weeks away from building a nuclear weapon, and so we need to take out the nuclear sites. We need to effect regime change in Iran. I feel like I've been hearing that Iran is weeks away from a nuclear weapon for at least 25 years.
Yes, verbatim at least a decade, and for longer in substance, yes.
Is Iran weeks away from building a nuclear weapon? Does Iran want a nuclear weapon? Will Iran get a nuclear weapon? What is the truth about Iran?
Iran does not want a nuclear weapon. Iran's neighbors, like the Saudis and others in the Gulf, do not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Iran's major ally, Russia, does not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And Iran doesn't want a nuclear weapon. But Iran does not want to be defeated militarily by Israel, does not want to be bombed to hell by Israel, and does not want to be sanctioned to death economically by the United States, which the U.S. has been doing now for endless years.
They want to see the Palestinians out of Gaza in order to resettle there. They don't want to see them deported because they want to prepare the ground for a Trump Tower hotel, as maybe some interpreted statements of President Trump to mean. They want it because they want to resettle there, and this is part of their grand design. They want to do the same in the West Bank. Already now they are inspiring the Hilltop youth, which I call the atrocious youth, for almost daily attacks against Palestinians in the West Bank, Palestinian Arabs in the West Bank. And they are burning their groves, olive groves. They are burning their homes. They are taking people. They are killing people. This is totally obnoxious and something that can't be tolerated. And unfortunately, it's tolerated because the fact is that it continues, and in most cases, the ones that are arrested are the victim Palestinians, it's not the Israeli attackers. And this is part of what I am campaigning against. Now, questioning that you have outlined is whether Bibi is captive by these guys. He is willingly captive. It's not something that he's fighting against, that he's trying to stop. He is willingly captive by these messianic, extreme fundamentalist right-wingers, supporters of Jewish terror, because it's true that this is probably the only escape he has from what awaits to him. But also because the fact is that for the last 15 years, Netanyahu was the guy that ignored the Palestinian Authority, which was a potential partner for peace negotiations, and was supporting Hamas, the financing of Hamas through Qatar, but with the agreement, support, and cooperation of the Prime Minister of Israel.
Good evening. I hope you can hear me. I said in the clip that I'm not angry anymore. The hell I'm not angry. I'm totally enraged. When in my adolescence, I first found out about the Nazi genocide of my own people, literally, almost every day when I would think about it, my head would spin. Literally, my head would spin. I think, how is this even possible? And I feel like I'm back with that adolescent, almost naive incomprehension about how this, what we're witnessing, can possibly be going on. And now we're seeing the slaughter of civilians and children and kids being amputated without anesthetics and being starved. And the press has always lied, but the lies have never been more egregious, and the silence has never been more deafening than it is today. And Palestine is the issue of our time, where you stand on that issue tells you whether you've got a heart that's even open and functioning. So there's ways of knowing that combine the gut and the heart and the mind. And as somebody said, without the gut and the heart informing the mind, we're nothing but genius-level reptiles. And those genius-level reptiles are running our world right now. I have no idea what the answer that history will finally declare on current events. What I do know is that, well, there was this Jewish sage 100 years before Jesus. His name was Hillel, and he said that the task is not yours to finish, the task of healing the world, but neither are you free not to take part in it. And I think that's a choice we can all make in the present moment. We don't know how it's going to end, and none of us, I hope it's otherwise, but none of us in our lifetimes may see justice the way we would like to see it, but by God we can make a contribution, however big, however little that is, and we can make sure that Palestine is never, ever, ever forgotten. Thank you.
This is not a war that's unfolding in Gaza. It's a genocide. The two are very different. In a war, you're trying to inflict a military defeat on the enemy army. In a genocide, you're trying to exterminate the civilian population. The war aspect of what's gone on in Gaza is trivial and marginal. As of now, fewer than one Israeli soldier has been killed each day in Gaza. Less than one combatant a day. That is not a war. Name me one battle in Gaza. Name me a battle that's been fought. I don't think anyone can come up with a single battle. There are no battles in Gaza. Yes, combatants have been killed. Hamas and other militant group combatants have been killed. But mostly they were killed for the same reason that the civilians were killed, because of the indiscriminate, intensive bombing.
I mean, how can a Jew come from Ukraine to Palestine and say, this country is mine, and you Palestinians have no place here? You can't, I mean, if you didn't have a story to tell, you'd just be a criminal. You'd be some guy coming in and stealing somebody else's land. Well, I don't want to be that. So to justify what you're doing and explain what you're doing, you develop a whole narrative. God gave us this land, and this is the ancient Israel, and we were driven out by the Romans, and now we're, a whole story like that.
River to the sea.
If Israel, hypothetically, decided we want to be in full compliance with international law, what would it have to do?
In general, there needs to be an end to racial discrimination and the domination by one racial group over another. From the river to the sea, the return of all of the Palestinian people who were forcibly displaced. There needs to be a complete withdrawal immediately, the removal of all settlements and settlers, and the provision of compensation to the Palestinian people for all of the harm that they have suffered since 1948. Israel doesn't have the option to maybe withdraw from some of the land and retain some of the land and then just provide compensation. That's not legally permissible. What I mean by compensation is compensation for all of the other loss suffered by the Palestinian people as a result of the unlawful occupation. Israel has no legal right to be there in the first place. Palestinians are not occupying Israeli land. Positive steps to bring the situation to an end would include sanctions against Israel. Non-recognition, which involves expressly or implicitly recognizing not only that Israel isn't sovereign over this territory, but even that Israel doesn't have any right to be there in the first place. So states should not be engaging in diplomatic relations with Israel. What international law is preventing is for Israel stealing more of Palestinian land. And that's why Israel are against international law, because international law is against Zionist domination on a racist basis of the Palestinian people and the theft of Palestinian land. So of course they're against international law.
Historical ties to the land.
No. Legally, no. Legally, no. I mean, that's the claim. It doesn't have any legal foundation. In the League of Nations covenant that was part of the Versailles Treaty, the Palestine Mandate was supposed to be provisionally recognized as an independent state, a state for everyone, a single state for all the people on that land, not a state for a particular racial group. So the idea, and Israel is a Jewish state by definition, and there is no legal basis for a specifically Jewish state on that land in international law.
Και τώρα, τι έχετε να πείτε εσείς όλοι?